all the time. We didn't have food. We really came from...
So it wasn't fasting.
So there was a mix of fasting for you. But then after you've broken your fast, you then have something, you have nothing to eat. And now you have to continue.
To yet another exciting episode of the Ultimate Leadership Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, wherever you're tuning in from, please subscribe, like, and leave us a comment wherever you're consuming the content. I'm excited about today's conversation because I'm sitting, as you guys can see, with someone that I respect so much, someone I consider an older brother in many respects. Don't mind my dog. My dog is going to be... It's actually not my dog, it's my wife's dog. But don't mind the dog. It's actually going to be joining us for the interview. So today we're joined by Mr. Olwam, self-published author of 2 books. And I'm looking forward to talking about those 2 books. The MD of Blackhead Group, which is an innovative research and leadership development agency in Nelson Mandela Bay. The founder and chair of Fruits of Democracy, which is an NPO that recognizes youth excellence and public engagement in the Eastern Cape. Mr. Olwam holds a BA degree majoring in public administration and industrial and organizational psychology. I hope I've said that right. And BA honors in development studies from NMMU, and is the former director of Nkulu Free Hate, and has done lots and lots of other things. He's won several awards. 2 of them that I saw were the SAFM Movers and Shakers, which was 2016.
Yes, it was a conversation, and it was a list of people that they'd had on their, look into the country and who are these movers and shakers. Yes. So I thought that was interesting.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yes,
2015 Mail and Guardian, 200 young South Africans.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the country and in the Eastern Cape. I've got 2 of your books that are here, and I'd love us to get into these a bit later on. Leadership, when I first saw the insignia,
Yes.
You know what I thought when I saw this? I thought of Vusi's book, the Magna Carta of Exponentiality, which is like it's a tongue twister. And then your first book was Writing the Way, Lessons and Conversations I Wish to Have with You. So these are 2 amazing books, as you guys can see, that Mr. Olwam wrote, which we'll get into a bit later on. But I want us to start, I don't want us to start right at the beginning. I want us to start by looking at 2008, 2009 in your life.
Yes.
Student politics, SRC, you were the deputy president. That's where I'd love us to start the conversation.
Yes.
Because I think that place or that foundation of student politics becomes a shaping and molding ground for many leaders in the country. I saw in the book that you even had a campaign manager for your thing, which was like, wow. Yes. So take us back to
Elijah Manji.
Yes, take us back to that time. What was happening in your life? I'm sure it wasn't the beginning of your leadership journey, but it must have contributed immensely to the type of person that you are.
As a student, you come into this body of students. First, let me thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
Mnqwazi, you're so kind. I really didn't know that you've sort of prepared also to introduce me so well. I thought it was going to be like, hey, how's family and things like that. But as a student, when you come into university, you come into this space that is organized. You know where you need to go and stay. You know your times, coming in, coming out, classes. You meet new people. And a university, for me, is an international space.
Yeah.
And you meet so many people from different walks of life. At the time, Nelson Mandela University had about 700 foreign nationals. That were already in the system, and in that process, your thoughts are engaged. It's like you are all in this space where, as stones, you sort of are rubbing against each other, and then you're becoming, smoother and round and all of that. In that process, you then realize that, oh, look, I'd like to be involved in this space and that space. And then people start to see in you as somebody that can contribute. Excuse me. You then learn that others are looking at you and they are sort of pushing you to always be in the forefront and all of that. And we had been leading a church at the community level as well. The setup where we were at Nelson Mandela University was that leadership, especially at SRC level, was only regarded as a political space. But as a student, you came through academic reasons. You came to build a future. You have organized in religious communities. You've organized yourselves in dance classes. You've organized yourselves in, mountain hiking and all of those. And I felt that we stood a chance to also feature in the Student Representative Council, even if we were not interested or active in the party political spaces. And that's where we then sat down like, okay, look, let's put it out.
Who's we?
Sorry. It was me, essentially, but you have people like Elijah Manchi, who was involved in party politics at the time, but we had so many conversations. You had people like Diana Kimono, who's now in New York, a PhD in biochemistry, who would have conversations about the future of Africa. She's from Uganda, how we all could potentially connect, even wherever we might be in different spaces in future. We had people like Placide from Cameroon. So I can really mention a number of them, but I can't think of all of them at the moment. But all of us seem like we were connecting, even if we were coming from different spaces. Yeah. But we also shared faith at the time. And our belief was that now that we have the same faith, how does this faith affect the community outside, the student community, the community in the community outside, social activism? Where do we feature now that we would have a degree when we live here? What do we do about it? Because most of us tend to be disconnected from their communities. As soon as we finish degrees, we never go back to our communities because you have to go and work. You have to move to Joburg. You have to move to Cape Town. And in no time, you can't connect with the people you grew up with and all of that. And therefore, education was cutting us from those communities that we knew. So we had really thought about the impact of education and the impact of us knowing each other and coming from different parts of Africa and the world. I mean, we had others from Mauritius, Sabo Sonel, who would come and she would bring tea that we've never tasted before from Mauritius at the time where we only knew the tea that was, Kamakul, Later, sometimes you'll be taking a tea bag one, So that exposed us, and we wanted to play in a more significant platform, and therefore we said, okay, I was available. I knew that I was interested in serving. I knew that my service would not be in the church or in the Christian community, because that was associated with preaching and all of that, which I didn't find quite
funny enough. I saw a video of you preaching, by the way. It's on YouTube, and you look like you are hungry, like you are fasting.
Yes, we fasted all the time. We my friends, Abu Man like Abu Ray or Malosi and all those people, we fasted all the time. We didn't have food. We really came from...
So it wasn't fasting?
So it was a mix of fasting for real. But then after you've broken your fast, you then have something, you have nothing to eat. And now you have to continue, But
this
also
is not funny. I'm sorry.
no, really. I write about this 5 days of hunger this other time.
Yeah, because I want to talk about that
Yes.
later on. Yeah.
So at varsity, there were people that did not have food. There's a guy first, Uvusi, I don't want to mention his name. He meets me on Friday. He's going to write a test in the evening. I think this was around 3 p.m. He's going to write an exam around 5. Olwam, hey, I need something to eat, man. What do you have? Hey, I know I don't have anything. Hey, man, I haven't eaten since Monday, but I'm writing a test. You know,
Is he saying that?
he's saying that I'm writing a test, so I just needed something just to prepare.
Yesterday.
You know, he had not eaten
Since
since
Monday.
Monday. We were standing by Zanadu, and you have to then give what you have. From the nothing you don't have, you give. You know, that's my conditioning. You know, hey,
That's hectic, man.
yes, I didn't prepare for that one.
That is hectic, man. Because I think student politics and the student space is such an important part of any leader's life, because there are real stories, there are real situations, and at that level, each and every leader has to learn to sort of, in inverted commas, pass or graduate, not only in academia, but graduate from the leadership at that level as well. And it seems like you've got quite a lot of stories to tell. What do you think currently about student politics? What is your view currently? You know,
He can edit all the cough. Well, I'm happy to be invited, because now I can see a trend where I'm being invited back into the student communities to speak. I was speaking at a RES student leadership conference earlier, I think about a month ago, by Ayanda Mlata. I think we still need to preach the message that the university space is for everyone. That outside politics, you can still and you should be learning so much. You know, you should be testing your ideas. You should be learning how to write a proposal, raising money, because you raise money from the available community, and there's money moving around at varsity. And you should learn how to build stakeholders and networks and all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
should I get you a glass of water?
No. So what I would say, and what I'm seeing in student communities, I've been out for a very long time. I think about 7 years or so away from the academy, but now I'm coming back. I'm starting to learn. Look, we need to revive the desire to take the university and treat it as a national and an international space, and it is done by students. I was in 2010. I was in Cape Town, and then I went to UCT, and in UCT I was attending a conference there, and then when I look at their notice boards, Oppenheimer was here. You know, all the senior people, you know, the Chief Justice was here and invited by students. Becky had come to speak and all of that. And then I thought, I feel like that is what the university should be, an environment where as students we can interact with the best minds in the world.
Yes.
With and touch money and the people that make money and touch the world. And we had been thinking small from my community at the time at Nelson Mandela. Instantly, I invited the DVC at UCT to come to a student formation I was leading.
Which student formation?
It was a student alumni association, alumni society then. And Crane, Prof. Crane Sodin came, and he spoke in my student formation. And I was like, oh, if I can invite a DVC at UCT to come and speak at Nelson Mandela University as a student, who else can we bring? And that's been my mind.
Yeah.
Who do I want to have a conversation with, and where are they in the world? How do we bring them down?
Yeah, Because that leads me to another question I wanted to ask. Because the first time I think I interacted with you was through Inkulu Free Hate, I think, not Fruits of Democracy. I think at that time I was part of the Black Lawyers Association, and we were planning on bringing Uvusi Pikoli.
Yes.
And then we worked together on Tulima Donsela. So talk to us about, because, I mean, you're a leader, you are an entrepreneur, and these are all pockets of your life that have contributed to the person that you are today. So talk to us about Inkulu Free Hate. What is Inkulu Free Hate? How did it start? You know, and what are some of the key things that you've learned from that journey of your life?
Okay. I seem to have a cough, so I'm just going to cough again.
I asked if you wanted water, but
I don't think water would help. I think it will actually cause more now, unless it's hot water, but I don't think we should do it now.
Okay.
Well, Inkulu Free Hate has been an interesting journey for me. I'm sitting here, and then I've invited Crane Sodin. We had met in Cape Town in a conference, and I felt Noel Tlankomalize, you know, and he came graciously. And then he invited me also to go to his office in UCT. So I went, and then he started saying, well, do you know so-and-so? Do you know Sizwe Mbofu? I need to introduce you to Sizwe. And then I started...
What year is that?
This must have been 2010.
2010.
Yeah, I think in the year that I invited him to come, it was 2010, between 2010 and 2011. I think it must have been then. I'm like, oh, okay. So he facilitates that introduction. And Sizwe introduces me to Eric Derrida, and then a whole network of these young people in the country in student leadership, and who some had just left university, but you know, Vivek and Abo Ngosi Chikane, and so many brains, you know, these hardworking, high capacity individual, Abo Rihanna Odendal. They start opening up.
I feel bad because I don't know any of them. I only know Sizwe.
Look, Sizwe is Sizwe, but he holds a very strong network around him, and he's also part of this network of these high capacity young thinkers from all walks of life. Around in that community, you can't afford to say white people are, black people are, because everyone in that community is a thinker. Everyone is a doer. They know how to campaign, to push things. They know how to take an idea, and they know how to build it. They know how to build systems. They introduced me to, you know, the electronic way of running an entity. You know, I've never had online meetings until I met those guys in 2013, 14 when we did Inkulu Free Hate. I've seen so many things being done, campaigns on your vote, your voice. One, I can't remember our vote.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, I can't remember some of the campaigns.
Yeah, I remember that.
These guys could go and speak to and draw any political leader. We spoke to all the political leaders of the time because of their sheer resilience and how they are able to articulate. I think there's a training that they receive in their development that we just didn't get somehow. And I don't see that particularly as a disadvantage, but I'm seeing that as something that became a strength in their lives, and it also opened up my eyes as to how else could I build what I was trying to build, and to build an organization around myself, or to actually build an organization that also lifts me up. But you can't be an individual leader that cannot build systems. Because that's what sustains everything you do in the end. And building systems means you're going to have to raise funds, and I can see you doing that as well. And I was fortunate to have seen and being part of that. And I took that into Blackhead, into Fruits of Democracy.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think I concur with you. Systems are important in any organization and in any business. But I know that you've worked with some names that are big in the country, like you've just mentioned, OCs, where you, like I said earlier on, we did something with Vusipikoli, Tulima Donzela. Who are the I don't know what to call them, high-profile people in your career that you can think of?
No, I have so much respect for my generation. So I'm thinking for some reason when you talking about C's, I just remember Melvin. Melvin now, I think he just got funded in one of his projects to the tune of $1 billion or something like that.
Who's Melvin?
Is it Lupego or something? I'll introduce. Yeah. I'll share his not his conduct, but his work with you. I'm not close to him, but he was also part of the fold when we were doing Ingulu Free Hate. Then there's other guys from Bowenis and some of the guys that are active now that are doing quite big projects, multi-million projects in the internet space, technology space. Are some of the guys that were part of that group. The big names that I've worked with, I don't know, but I take a lot of counsel from Professor Njabule Ndebele, the chairperson of the Nelson Mandela Foundation and the Mandela Rose Foundation. Whenever there's something big, that's one counsel. So I use that counsel sparingly. Because I don't want him to feel like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, I'm like, let's. But I read. You know, when you like, okay, I have access to this person, and this person listens to me, and he sort of says, even with the book, I was like, no, I self-publish. And he said, no, Olwam, I don't understand what is self-publish. Just invest in a good editor. Like, so he's saying that the one thing is that you go and invest in a good.
Then what do you say after that?
That's all he said.
What do you say after that?
For 4 months, I'm good. You know, I'm well. I know what I need to do. And then there's another person that I've met recently. I love this woman. I don't
want to meet these people.
Yo, no, man. I really want to share these people, but I really want to do it with the decency that they deserve. You know, I met recently. I've met the lady prior, but I've connected with Professor Catherine Odora Hoppers, who was awarded the Nelson Mandela Award by Thabo Mbeki, I think in 2015, and Nelson Mandela University has also awarded her an honorary doctorate. And this woman built the indigenous knowledge systems manuscript or guidelines in the country. For 2 years, he sat with professors in science and everything in South Africa at Robben Island.
That's amazing.
And sort of workshopped this indigenous. How does science understand our knowledge?
That's amazing.
In a way that it doesn't treat it as an arts and culture thing, but it becomes part of the scientific community because there's science in what we know. And then now she's back in Kulu. I met her when I was in Zanzibar. And then, you know, every evening, I know there are young people that are there. And I sat down at the feet of this woman. Sheer power.
Wow, man.
Power.
What are you guys talking about?
We were talking about her work in indigenous. She was telling me how it came about. She was telling me what she holds that has not been shared in the country, the process through which this has been achieved, and the people that. So we're also looking at the possibility of a project that nice. we can do. Now it's that ability now to fundraise that I'm confronted with. so that we can do this work under Blackhead and know that that will instantly make us an institution. I'm sharing it here. I know it's risky, but she really needs to be shared because she's now at retirement. She stays in her village house in Gulu in Uganda. I love that woman.
Wow.
And I take counsel with from the former mayor of Grahamstown 2 times, Mr. Mzukisi Mpahlwa. He stays here in Blue Water Bay. I don't know. I run around. I haven't seen him in over a month now, and then I hit something, and then I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. There's a workshop I need to facilitate, or there's a conversation that is too high. Then I run to him. Then he said, "No. Have you seen this person or this sort of study on?"
Yeah.
And then all problems are solved.
Then wow.
And then I run away, and So those are for me the high-profile people that I can access when there's a need, and I'm not a friend to them. I don't want them to be my friend. I need them to unlock these little things that we tend to run to run into in our course of developing. And then I'm hoping I'll be meeting a lot of other high-profile people. Let me not mention.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. Let's go into, because I want to go into Blackhead, because I think you're doing amazing work, but I think it's just the beginning, because I think you're going to do greater works, and I'm not just saying it to flatter you. But let's look at Fruits of Democracy. How did that start? What's happening there? I've seen so many awards and events that you've hosted. I've even seen pictures of you guys. Mr. Loto, Sesetu. I think one beautiful picture was when you were, I think you were having a meeting, a boardwalk in some boardroom.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, that's serious stuff, man. What's Fruits of Democracy? What is it about? And
Fruits of Democracy came at a time in Nelson Mandela Bay where we felt that in 2015, everything that was shown on TV covered about the city was about a corrupt politician. All the bad things that were happening about the city were starting to drain us, to make us feel like we were the scum of the country. And because we are here and we can see what people are doing, and no one knows about these things, because on television, they need to make the evening news with some kind of big news. And all those big news were really negative. So we said, look, and at the time, our generation, or the younger generation, was questioning the usefulness and the impact of the democratic dispensation in their lives, and all of fees must fall and things like that. I remember having this conversation with Utando Paduza. He was still my supervisor at Nelson Mandela University then, saying that let's create an event where all these notable young people that we know are doing something positive, we invite them, and we're looking at 50 to 80 once a year to come and congregate.
Provincial?
It was just regionally at the time. Now we are attempting to do it provincially. And to congregate and just say, look, Luphumlo, we see you. How do you do this? And so forth. So just to note each other and create a different, energy in the city, other than what we were seeing on TV all the time. And that's what it is. So we award youth excellence in sports, community, business, education, and public service. We have now 23 awardees or beneficiaries in the award, and we really want to do something about that, but we are constrained by finances. So we're taking it one step at a time, and then COVID hit. We had to stall after 5 years running this program. We had to stall a bit, but we'll find each other again.
It's amazing, man. And to anyone who hasn't seen, I think you guys have a Facebook page, and so people can go and check.
Fruitsofdemocracy.com. You'll get it there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blackhead, October 2016. I think August 2016. I think you resigned
Yes.
from your job. Then a month later, Blackhead. Talk to us about that. What made you jump?
So there's this cycle in my life. I don't know. There's something that ends in August, and there's something that starts in September. It's new jobs. It's been like even
Really?
this year. It happened. Yes, I just started a short contract with NMU.
Oh, nice.
1st of September.
Lovely. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So Blackhead, I registered it in 2016, the 12th of October. So just a month from whatever was ending then, which was my resignation. I just walked, man. I felt my light of hope was just dying. I felt like I was just giving in too quickly to life, to that kind of a office job, sitting and, and I felt I was young. I needed to explore. I needed to find my voice. I needed to know what really, what keeps me alive.
Yeah.
And with my boss then, Ivo Batches, and my supervisor, Dr. Leslie Powell, she was like, Olwam will give you a month. Go and think.
Wow.
So the month of August was me just thinking. And then we met within 2 weeks, and then they found out, not even at the university at the time, just outside. Let's go outside. Are you sure this is what you want to do? I came back very certain this is what I want to do. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew that the light of hope in me was dying. I was not getting new zeal about life. I'm a young man. If I don't have a vision, the clear project that I'm undertaking, everything else becomes a drag. You become a person that is difficult to live with because your world is closed down, it's constrained. It's becoming smaller. You are suffocating. And I had to find it, and I'm glad I did. That's why now I'm happy that I'm actually going back to the same university, different sort of arrangement, and understanding the person that I am, understanding what my potential is, as opposed to constantly having to prove or justify, this is what I'm doing, can we do it this way? Because they don't know. So when I go out and kill a Goliath there, they know, oh, this is a giant slayer, this one. We must be careful, I needed to find it. I needed to kill some lion.
But I think a lot of people might be feeling how you felt back then, trapped to a certain extent and scared. I'm sure you were scared to a certain extent of, hey, how am I going to get an income? What is the one thing that pushed you to jump? And what could you advise people that are in the same place where you were several years ago, that want to start something, they want to start a business, they want to start an NGO, but they're just too scared to leave this secure place called a job?
And don't leave, because the conditions that keep you there are different than the conditions that would to me.
Yeah.
For me, I was prepared to go and stay in a shack.
Were you married then?
Yes, I'd just been 6 months married. I was prepared to go and stay in a shack.
Really?
My wife asked, and my friends asked. One of my friends, Ulaki.
Yeah.
Ulaki actually asked Uti.
Mr. Chemes?
No, Ulaki Maluleka, Dr. Ulaki Maluleka.
Okay.
He just, on Monday, when we were doing the book launch, because he edited the book, he actually reflected on that and what I responded. That's why I'm saying it now.
Yeah.
He said, Olwam said he's going to go and stay in a shack if he needs.
That is wild.
Yes. So it's not poverty, it's not hunger that I'm afraid of. It's a sustained period of poverty. It's a sustained, existence in lack, in in being disregarded and not finding your sweet spot in life. That is what I'm scared of. That is what forced me to leave, is that when I looked at my paycheck even then and what I have had to do to get married, I would not put anyone through that again. I don't think.
Was it difficult?
It was. Look, I moved from a 3-room house that I was staying in New Brighton, and then I went to stay in a 1-room in Soweto, so that I can walk to Missionville campus and save the little money I was earning. I was earning 6.8 at the time, and the lobola demands, and the cultural challenges that we have had as a Xhosa person marrying into the Zulu community, and these set stereotypes that we had not been tested, at least by my own family and her own families. And so it took me 2 years to be able to conclude that process.
Sure.
And by the time I got married,
whilst you are earning that 6.8.
Yes, it was 6.8.
So you're a disciplined person. Because it
Not
takes
that
a
I'm
lot of
disciplined.
discipline.
I'm a very frugal person. I don't need much in life. I don't.
You can live on the bare minimum.
Yes. And I'll be very proud.
I'm actually talking to you because I want to talk to you.
Is it?
Yeah.
That is basically.
You're revolutionary.
In that sense, that's what we grew up in.
I'm a revolutionary.
Yes. So really, I don't need much to live by. In a day, I only need two meals. Personally, the third one is
a luxury.
It's a luxury, and I have to sort of, I'm here, let's do it,
Sure.
And I'm not one with clothes and name brands and all of that, but I like giving my all in a project that I have on my table. I get energy from that. I get a sense of purpose, of duty, and all of that, and I'm contributing, I feel. So I was able, and I come from a group of friends that we did not go from the onset with the external, the aesthetics and all of that. We knew that we had to build a dream. Yeah. All of us. Abo Ray, they know that they have to build a dream. Abo Toto Kwesha, Bongosi Kwesha, we all started with a dream, and that dream had to be clear. That's why we can always relate and find out where each other have been or what they've accomplished and their progress by finding out how far are you in that dream. And it's easy. We can also learn in that regard. So I've also been blessed having a similar wife who's my wife is it's the biggest blessing unongoleko that I've had. Partly because when we've taken that decision at the time, we discussed it over a month or so. In fact, from the beginning of the year. But when I had to leave, we still took a month discuss how. But she was not. She didn't say don't do it. Only 2 or 3 years later, when we started seeing the fruits of the decision, she's like, you know what? I was nervous. Wow, I was scared. Man. I didn't know. And there were tough times. Yeah. There were tough times. Not even once that our car stopped somewhere in the freeway. Not even once. Not even because of lag. Only now that we have even petrol cards and all of that because we forgot. She forgot recently for the first time in our 6 years of marriage. She forgot to fill up and then she told me on her way to work, and then a friend to work had to come and sort of assist because they were closer. And so those little things, but we've also based our relationship on the little things that we know we enjoy. I love my coffee, so we always have coffee. I make coffee at home because...
Black coffee?
Yes, I like filter coffee. I like mustard tin coffee.
Okay.
Mustard tin.
If I knew, man, I would have prepared. I actually had that filtered coffee. Then I gave it away because
Yeah,
to
no,
me it
that's-
doesn't make
it's,
sense.
You know,
but-
so I come from a background where my uncle used to make coffee for my grandmother
okay.
every morning at 5 a.m. So I've seen that interaction. And for me, this is culture. It's ridiculous to demand that from someone else
Yeah.
because they don't understand it. For
Yeah,
me,
yeah, yeah.
it's, you know, and then we've identified what is it that really matters when everything falls. What really matters is this family, is our daughter Omibala. It's our ability to always communicate about anything that happens. It doesn't matter what happens. We've made a pledge that we'll always find a way to sit down and talk about it. You know, we have since learned that we need to have conflicts because they test how serious one takes this point and how much that point really hurt the other one. Because if we don't know those parameters, we don't know how to heal each other, how to attend to each other. So there is a time where we allow free reign and all issues must be talked about and all of that. Our space, our living space, and so there are certain things that we, over the 6 years, that we know that we like. Her love language is like the time that you have to give and sit down and like nibukane,
How was your day?
that's my wife.
Wow.
It's act of service, because of probably my background. My mother had to be in Johannesburg throughout my youth. So I grew up with my uncles and whoever was at home. So having people that help me to do things, for me, it matters. So that's why I think. And also, if I say I'm here, I feel like this is me saying that I love you because everyone else was not in the same space that said loved me, and that all of these are starting to come out, and we have to address them. She has to learn about them, and some I'm not prepared, like you, that these things we have to deal with. So that's why I like Zianda. You should have Zianda Mavumengwana. Zianda Mavumengwana's book. I like it because she's explaining what happened to you when you were young and how you dealt with it, and the tools that you use to deal with it up until now.
Okay.
It has been good, but now they won't sustain you going forward. What happened was bad, but you are okay.
What's the name of a book?
You are okay.
You're okay.
Yes, but what happened to you isn't. And she's doing her PhD in psychology or something like that.
I'll get
So
that
very,
book,
very, very, very important material coming out from local young people. So we're starting to touch each other in different ways.
Is she not in Mthatha?
She's in Mthatha.
I've seen,
Yes.
okay, I follow her. I've seen her.
Yes, she has a YouTube channel
Yes,
and all of that. Yes. Lovely.
Yeah. I want to talk, before I talk about your two books, I want to talk about some of the books that have impacted your life. When I read your material, you come across as a person that consumes a lot of academic literature. You'll correct me if, like you, I think in one part of your book, you mentioned that you once read a thesis on leadership.
Achema Feje.
Yes,
his master's.
His master's in
In
leadership. And then I want to look at that quote, because that was, for me, oh, wow, man, that's,
Yes, in 1963 already. Imagine a person in Engcobo looks at two villages, Achema Feje, and he studies the leadership understandings in different village structures, education, church, traditional, and how they deal with the question of leadership.
1963.
63, and then it compares All Saints Village, and I think the other one, Kwatlomash or something, I just forgot the name, but he compares these two. And then he was at UCT at the time, and then there's an institute currently, the Achema Feje Research something based on his work and his name by Professor Mkacheni. Yes. So I read It's because I found myself in the academy, and I appreciate knowledge and scientific exploration. Even what I watch on YouTube, it's based on some kind of knowledge and research and all of that. I particularly appreciated recently a whole course on philosophy in Harvard by Michael Sandel.
Wow.
A whole course. Oh, you should watch that. So but how does me knowing about this masters now, which I think is very key, because we are grappling with the question of leadership, and we want to grapple it in relation to how our people understand it, or how our acculturation has given to us, so that we can articulate it internationally better. Take a local knowledge, something that could be an artifact or something, and articulate it. And because you are the best person to articulate that, why? Because no one else in the world is from that context.
Yeah.
So you are second to none. You are first. So it deals with the self-confidence question, and it also deals with originality and how you are closely knit with this knowledge that you are bringing.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that makes your work so unique, because even in your books, you don't just write in English. There are some instances where your balang is close.
Yes.
And,
it's my protest.
So, big ups to you on that. I just want you to listen to something before we go into your book. Just one or two people that have sent you something. Don't mind this. I just want to play this for you.
Should I turn this around?
Oh, yeah, please turn it around. Yes.
I don't know.
This.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. I'm audible.
Yeah. This is what I've been listening to the whole time.
Goodness.
Mr. Mnqwazi, the concept of leadership is something that is close to your heart because it is a matter of the heart. Continue to agitate, continue to probe, continue to keep asking hard questions, continue to keep society accountable, including your peers, and never stop elevating the conversation around leadership and how important it is to us as individuals and this society that we live in. Thank you.
Siyazonani General.
You know his voice.
Yeah.
Good evening, this is Amandla Didiza, and I'd like to send my congratulations to Mr. Olwam Mnqwazi for the launch of his new book, Leadership, an Insignia More Enduring. I think, let alone the book launch, the book itself speaks of the valued principles of leadership in a time where that principle has become such a dry well, that philosophy and that way of life. And I think the book launch itself ignited a new feel in how leadership should be, and really positioned everyone who is there. And I believe that everyone who was there and who they will interact with will be impacted highly by the discussions, the points of assertion, and just the direction in which the book points us to. So congratulations, and we're very extremely proud of you.
Amandla.
Man, I saw the pictures. Your book launch was great. Before we go into this book, do you want to keep that on, or I can take it?
You can reduce the volume here.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want us to first look at this. Writing the way, your first book, Writing Away Lessons and Conversations I wish to have with you. And I just want us to zoom into Chapter 9 first and Chapter 3. Chapter 9, running a small business.
Did his research.
Chapter 9, running a small business.
Yes.
Share some lessons on that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. Some of the things that you are saying here resonate with me. Chapter 9, you spoke about this thing of having employees and how they don't understand if you come with stories. Hey, it's month end, it's month end. I want my... What are some of the key things to date that you've learned in your entrepreneurial journey that you would say to an Olwam 7 years ago when he was starting? Olwam, please look at 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, the entrepreneurial journey is very transformative. You will not go in and remain the same. It's a very rigorous process. I think one thing that I can share is that money follows value. Money follows value. So if we can build and clarify the value that we bring, and work on that value, money
Follows value.
follows value.
That's a good
And
one.
of course, you need research and development, and therefore you need the money so that you can research and develop the product or whatever you are putting out the service. And then so that balance, but you can't. You constantly need to work on the value.
Money follows value.
Yes,
Wow.
and then there's this consistent thing we do. We like congregating and forget that business is not an NGO and it's not angombuto. At the end of the day, you really have to make money.
Yeah.
And you are not in business so that you can provide employment.
Yeah.
You
That's
are
one of the
not.
things you said in the book.
It's a
Yeah.
byproduct of a product that is being produced here.
I just want to
Because you need more
interject
hands.
because a lot of people I meet when I'm Mr. Olwam, because my work, I do a lot of work in the entrepreneurial space, and a lot of people say I'm starting this so that I can create employment, and
No.
already for me that's like, ish.
Yeah, no, you're not gonna be able to make the right decisions. You have to cut people off. You have to. There's a time where you know that you have to cut someone off. And
That sounds harsh.
yes, it's the nature of business.
Yeah.
You are in business. I say there that business is available firstly to those who are in business, but in the process of doing business, you have to deliver a product, a service to the client. And if there are people who are not giving their all or giving their best, they are already eating from the future of the company.
Yeah.
Ayibone ngoku.
Yes.
It doesn't start now.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The vision starts constricting from
Yeah.
where the potential would have been
Yeah.
because of the people that no longer serve the vision well. And sometimes you are not able to pay everyone because you are dependent on a job well done that then sustains the momentum that brings resources and the networks. As a business owner and the leader in this entrepreneurial space, you are not sustained by a month-to-month paycheck. That's not how your life goes. It can go there when the business has grown sufficiently. But that's so you take a lot of punches every family at home. You took the last money for bread now.
Yeah.
You took the money that you needed to do this.
Yeah.
And you quickly had to go and make sure that project is done, or at least so and so is paid. And then I found that, okay, look, as much as I want to provide a job and everything, these people don't always understand.
Yeah.
So I then changed the focus at Blackhead. So I'm not collecting people who will come and congregate around this brand. I only bring available and competent staff when there is a project, and we then disperse because I can't sustain. As long as I can't have a salary, your salary for 12 months saved in the bank so that I can give you 1-year contract, I should not be keeping you here. I tried to do that, and I just cut myself deep every time.
Yeah.
So I will bring the necessary team when there is a need until I'm sustained enough. Then I can actually build. So ego sometimes yam that I have that I wanted everyone to be here and to show. So I'm cutting it. We just with all of us are at the consultancy basis and on the basis of the need that arises at that particular time.
And people will think you're selfish because of that.
Mandithengisela onhlanhla.
I just got that last.
Yes, like honestly, it would be great to have everyone here and we're all building and everything. But honestly, I can't sustain. And when you leave home and to come and help and serve, and then I can't give you something at the end of the month, you look at me and I
Yeah.
don't feel good.
That's true.
That I have to explain that, look, I don't have enough.
Yeah.
I don't. It was good last month. I try to take care of everyone, and so that you know that when there's money, there's help, there's fun for all of us. But then this month is like this, and we can no longer expect people to understand your responsibilities,
Yeah.
the challenges that you are going through. They don't want to.
Yeah.
And now I'm stopping to be people's friends
Yeah.
for my business. I'm
Yeah.
not your friend. I'm not your friend. We are.
Why do you
we are-
sound angry? Like you angry?
No, we because we ask, but we understand this. So I'm not your friend. We are in a process of creating value,
Yeah.
and
that's
I
important.
don't like that I can't pay you monthly,
Yeah.
and that is why I'm gonna have to be ruthless now.
Yeah.
It's important if we're gonna build businesses and brands that can outlive the dry season that we
Yeah.
are coming out of now.
Yeah.
You know, so we will have to.
No, I
to make
agree.
those tough
I agree with
decisions.
you.
I
You know?
found myself having to coerce people. You know, sometimes you give a responsibility and then it's not done, and then a few days down the line, it comes back to me.
Exactly.
Our work at Blackhead is very tedious. We
Yeah.
do transcriptions.
Yeah.
A PhD scholar would come and say, I have this transcription that needs to be done, and you have to do them and also translate them into English. And when I do them, people know because
quality.
the quality. I had one client that says, this is not what you did the first time.
This was
This
not
is-
you.
and
And
when
you
I
know
I'm like,
that.
Yes.
Luphumlo.
So I had to sit down. Now I've paid people to do a job, and then the job was not done, but I still had to redo it.
Yeah. Doesn't
You
make
know?
sense.
So the reality of our work, we need people that are highly skilled and that are patient, that are competent. And part of the work we do is we do writing. We also do we run some corporate elections. With that is easy to do actually, but it also makes the most money when we have an election. In a very short space of time, we're able to deliver it, and everybody's paid. It's fine. So I have enough people to do that, but I have very few people who will replicate Olwam
Yeah.
and do, the writing that we need to be doing,
Yeah.
the editing, the way that I know. So what then do? I
Yeah.
need to look at my system and say, realistically, Olwam, you can't replicate yourself in this way. So you're going to have probably raise your rates
Yeah.
and take the time that it needs to do one project at a time. And for everything that you can multiply yourselves, like the elections, it's fine. We can then run a project, a training process, and use the same people as much as we can, and upskill them, especially the leaders in those units, to make sure that they advance as human beings, but they can then go and do their lives. But for that day or two that are with us, we can pay them very well. Another thing, the book process that we do, I realize that's another limitation. But then now, the more there are limitations, it means I need to look at my pay structure, my cost structure, and everything. How do I make sure that I don't go home with nothing, even though I've taken time from home, I've taken money from home,
Yep.
I've taken resources, our cars. Blackhead doesn't have cars at the moment.
Yeah.
They are owned by my
Yeah.
wife and I.
Yeah.
So all of those resources need to really account, and employees would not always understand.
They say they do, but they don't.
And I remember when my wife bought a car, and then I just thought, driving this car, people are gonna think that I've made so much money, and then I went to buy a car. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just leave this, because we also I still need to celebrate my wife's personal achievement and support without other people feeling that that is their resource and all of that.
Yeah.
So there are clear lessons that I'm learning, and I know why, as a business person, you have to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, and I know why. You can't, when you make a cake, you can't take rotten eggs and take ingredients from France and Italy and across the world and think that you'll make a very good cake. One of those ingredients will mess the cake. The process of making sure that you pay attention to people that bring their contribution, because ultimately all these individual contribution create the product and the service that you are putting out. And if one is not doing well,
it affects everything.
Yes, you must just.
That's
it.
That's nice. That's powerful.
Because it affects the cake.
Yeah.
It affects the cake, and we can't sit and think that we are committed to you being here, as opposed to your service to the process, to the product and services that we are working on here.
Yeah,
that's the value.
We you know, we've been talking for an hour now. Time is
oh yeah.
And I still want to get to this book, because this is the real reason I wanted to talk to you.
Yes.
But you know, maybe we should do a part 2 some other day, because you know, I started off when you came. I said, congratulations on this. This looks amazing. Even the feel, like even without me reading. Like this
and is, I paid attention to that. I was telling the printers, look, I wanted to have the cover to have matte, laminated. I wanted the graphic designer to pay attention to little things. I had to send it back at the printing process, to send it back to correct this and all of that. Because what we can do, let us do it. Because there are certain things that will really be a blind spot. Let that be honest. And Steve Jobs also teaches us that you know, we can't allow ourselves to have defects in our thinking. You know, where we know that we could have corrected, we don't, for the sake of. So when he works on a Mac, he says, you know, both the outside needs to look good, but the inside as well.
Yes,
even if no one is going to see it.
Equally.
So we just do our best.
Yeah. Let's look at 1 or 2 chapters. There are so many things I wanted to look at. I want to start with the very last point on page 90, the laundromat ma. And I want to read a portion there. There's always an opportunity to rescue the instigator of corruption by finding out if you can meet their need without resorting to unscrupulous means. Talk to us about this.
I took my clothes to this laundromat here in Nelson Mandela Bay, and I found this lady standing and sort of standing closer to the door and speaking at a very low register. You know, guti mntanam, you can give me 20 rands for this laundry, then I'll wash it and come and fetch it, so that I don't have to pay directly. Then when I asked, she said no, she wanted money to go home. I was like, oh, well, it's fine. I can give you money to go home, but I can still afford to pay the money for this washing to be done appropriately. Akondo, ma'am. You know, this is an elderly lady. And then I just left. And then I told my wife that's why I got to put it in the book, because when I told her, she will always talk to me about it, and you know. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something there. Let me put it down, and that's how it ended up in a book. Because at a point of corruption, a bribe, I know we're human beings. I know we make mistakes and everything, but at that point, sometimes there's an opportunity to rescue both of us from, you know, getting into this trouble.
Yeah.
So instead of sometimes offering the bribe, you know, sometimes it's really like I can assist you, like really I can still pay, so that then the story is different when it's told. Even if I was not supposed to assist you, but I still can use my human agency to assist you in fuel if I can, and still pay the right amount that I need to pay. It doesn't take much because it will last longer. That bitter taste, gravel in your mouth, if you just take that shortcut right there, and then you can't correct the next person because now you are part of that. Then we all go down like this as society. So I'm putting it out here, even if I do things wrong sometimes, that let's all collectively elevate how we do life.
Man, I've got one or two things that I wanted to ask on that too of what you just said. When I read this, I thought, man, this is such a powerful analogy. And it's such a powerful leadership lesson too, that every person can do something to rescue not only the person, but, to rescue even yourself from taking part in whatever, It's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Page 46, 5 days of hunger. Hey, Mr. Olwam, you sound like you're a poet. Like there's some poems here that I thought, hey, I didn't know that you are a poet here.
Yeah.
5 days of hunger. I'm just going to read 1 or 2 lines. It's bad when there are no hunger pains anymore. Your mouth tastes like something between metallic and alkaline. One is too hungry to tell. Your face, belly, and thighs have started to lose fat from the past few days of no food. Your arms feel sore just where your skin meets the bones. Your voice grows faint and it becomes harder to shout as energy is depleting.
Yes. That's a process when you have not eaten anything. You can, for me, after 3 days, I know my body and I can feel that the glucose in the body has depleted. I know that the body starts breaking down the fat component, the lipid in the body. Because after that, when that fat component is broken down, I know that the body is going to go to the protein, the muscles, and that's what makes you thin and thinner. During fasting, we'd be drinking water for religious reasons, depending on the different fast. We'll be drinking water sometimes because you know that you are dizzy, then you just get amanda swekil. Sometimes you can break. We used to break our fast in the evening and continue the next day.
Yeah.
Sometimes just 5 days of no food. And I think particularly this one, it was a fast.
Oh, okay.
It was a fast. It was a fast that a lot of us went through at the same time. Nabo Mande, Nabo Manlake, Nabo.
At FCF.
No, it was not FCF. The group we had a group in New Brighton. Some of the friends that you know that I have. Bongo Sikwesha, Mandilake, Osiabulela Zondani, not the Sia that called in today.
Okay.
And many other Borebo, Malus, I can't remember who was part of that. We had a 5-day fast. And now knowing and paying attention to my body, I started documenting and saying this is
but why?
Actually because I felt like no one is I wanted to explain for somebody who's never gone through that fast, but also I know what it means not to have food and therefore not eat, and the same process would happen. But in that piece, it's really a poem. In that piece, I'm trying to elucidate that it's not hunger per se. There's a distinction between hunger and poverty. And poverty is a much more sustained, lack of resources and the absence of necessary institutions in your life and the absence of economic sustenance and even that affect your whole physical body and you become stuck in society.
Yeah.
So you need to, as much as you pay attention to the limitations that come with that, you'd rather be hungry than to be in poverty for the rest of your life.
And how does that link to leadership?
So 3 things that come from that book as well. I didn't connect them, but they're there. A leader must know how to restrain themselves. And there's some There's some attributes in leadership that requires you to be comfortable in lack, and don't make decisions for the sake of accumulating things so that you have access that is earned in a wrong way. So there's a level of you sacrifice. It's sacrificial. Sometimes to your own physique, you know this. When you have to know that you don't have, you can't eat what you want to eat now. But you can take that. It's a momentary hunger compared to the poverty that will come if everything you have can be taken on the basis of a wrong decision that you've taken. And then there's another element where I bring about a point of shame and a sense of shame about a secret in the book, and the leader having to know and how to deal with a point of vulnerability in your life, because any leader will be vulnerable for some reason. But how we deal with it, and how we make other people feel as leaders who are vulnerable, because now you know what it feels like. If I were to say, let's open our books here, let's write your deepest, darkest secret here on this paper. People are not going to write because that's a point of vulnerability. So leaders must remember that feeling that you wouldn't write, and it helps you to be conscious of people and treat people with sympathy, because you know how it is to be vulnerable. And then the third one is the one on the vision. I'm a president. I'm stating myself to be a leader.
Yes, I saw that.
And now this is a vision, a sense of aspiration and a dream, something that can pull me from wherever I am into a better place. So there are those 3 points of vulnerability, sacrifice, and that vision and aspiration that I think a leader needs to have. But I'm doing so that everyone can relate, even if they're not a leader. I didn't particularly, and that was the trick. I was hoping people would be able to make some of those connections like you have.
My one last thing, and guys, please go out and buy this book. I think at the end you can just share where people can buy a copy of this book. I think this is the first chapter. This just blew my mind. You said the mind of a leader should be a community and a national asset, and not the downfall of society. The mind of a leader should be a community and a national asset.
Yes. Mafeje, Archie Mafeje, that masters that I was talking about earlier, he talks about a leader having the aspirations of the community. When we look at a leader, we need to say our children must be like this person.
Come on.
We want our future to be like this.
You don't get that. You don't get a lot of that these days.
Yeah. So with that, and I'm also saying that leadership, the impact of leadership, as Tina Mnqwazi, you won't see it in a lot of a crown and is powerful and all of that. We don't have that. Sinobuhlalunje beads and everybody wears beads, and we don't even produce beads as Mnqwazi. There's no manufacturing plant beads. So it's something that we've taken from outside. That has now become part of our culture. I think the pattern of the beads is our culture because we don't produce it. So our leader, in one of the excerpts there, is that a leader, the impact of leadership is in the hearts of people. It's how and what you live in the hearts of people. So if we were to look at the impact that you have on society as a leader, it must be ekunqamleni ezinhlizweni zabantu. Abantu bacinga ntoni ngawe, bathini ngawe. That is that insignia that is more enduring than any outward symbol. It's a mark that is much more lasting than anything that you can touch. It says inhlizweni zabantu.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I wish this conversation can go on and on and on and on. Final question. 2024, who are you voting for?
I'll make my decision then, but I'm generally, you want me to state my political affiliation. I am a political being. Julius Nyerere says the only apolitical person is the face of a dead man. So I do have political views. Currently, honestly, I've wholeheartedly been supporting the ANC. You know, for many reasons. And one of the reasons, when I go to Evuku up in New Brighton, it's always about mama, about young people. The young lady Utandeka came and said, "Olwam sifuna imisebenzi."
Yeah.
Oh mama, when I saw them, even with my grandmother, they always go to the ANC. You know, community always. I know they know that everyone exists and all of that, but so I just thought, Lord, who do I give my support to in the interim, where I know that our bantu ndifuna ubanceda bayakhona, and for me it has always been the ANC. So you forced me to actually state that. I'm not embarrassed to be able to do that, which is why I would be open to even critique, you know, what is happening.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that we don't have time.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Yes.
In 30 seconds, what's your message to young people in South Africa?
I think that's important for me. There's no life in reserve for you. You know, you have this life. After this, nothing is promised. We don't know what's going to happen. Everything is faith that happens beyond the grave. So if you can explore as much as we can with what we have currently, I think we will leave this world a better place.
Oh, wow. And that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Olwam, for this. Thank you so much for the conversation. Go out and get yourself a copy of this book. Where can people get?
If you go to our website, blackhead.co.za, and Blackhead is hyphenated, or you can just go to Olwam Mnqwazi on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I'm there, LinkedIn. Olwam Mnqwazi. Hopefully you will be able to land to my inbox, and then we can get the book to you.
Get yourself a copy of this book. It is
250 per copy.
250 per copy. Book Mr. Olwam. I'm sure you do speaking engagements.
Yes, I do.
You know, book him to speak at your event.
And pay. Yes.
Mr. Olwam, thank you so much for your time, man. I've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for inviting me.